Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Today I pose the question, what do you miss about Mike Zimmer? Let's meet the rest of the guys.
Luke Inman, Superior Sports Talk, begging you to smash the over this week in the Vikings-Lions matchup.
Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings, and I'm here to tell everybody it's time to move on from the past.
Arif Hasan, Pro Football Network, and I get to make everybody mad, not just Vikings fans.
That's the group today. Ron Johnson joins later. It's the Minnesota Football Party.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next-level Vikings football. Plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
Welcome into the Minnesota Football Party. I am Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Find me on Twitter. Get in my mentions at Sam Ekstrom, joined by Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Arif Hasan, now of Pro Football Network at Arif Hasan NFL, and Luke Braun, Locked On Vikings postcast at Luke Braun NFL. Arif, official congratulations on the job change. Your new story released today. Are people already mad at you?
Oh, 100%. I love it.
Gotta embrace it.
Right on brand, baby. Right on brand.
Now, tell people where to find you. This is a free enterprise, or is this a subscription-based? Do I have to pay now to read you again?
You do not have to pay, although if you want to Venmo me, by all means, go ahead. Arif Hasan on Venmo. But no, the stories are free over on Pro Football Network. I think it was like 99 or 98% of the content is 100% free. There is a Pro Football Network Pass. That's where you can find fantasy football rankings, some of the waiver wire stuff, and then every year they release a draft guide. We release a draft guide. I'm not part of the draft team, so they and we release a draft guide that's also behind the PFN Pass. And I think that subscription's worth it. Obviously, it puts money in my pocket, so I'm motivated to say that. But also, I've been able to look behind the door of what's in that subscription. It's a bunch of great content. But if you want to read my articles, I believe all of them are free. And if not, I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Athletic.com, how to cancel.
Pro Football.
Pro
Football. Oh, okay.
No, yeah. No, I'm kidding. John Krasinski, Alec Lewis, we love him. So Luke Inman, Luke Braun, Arif Hasan, Sam Ekstrom, coming at you with endless Vikings talk for the next hour on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Hey, you can find us, by the way, on Amazon Fire and Roku apps now. Super cool feature, Amazon Fire and Roku, as well as the free and available podcast apps or YouTube. Let's jump into a little Thursday morning quarterback mode, gentlemen. Looking back at Philly, maybe you've watched the film. What is lingering for you other than the stench of the offensive performance and the defensive performance early on, and probably the beer that's lingering in that Philadelphia parking lot? I've been there. It reeks. What lingers for you, Luke Inman, from that game?
Well, I think the dream is we look back and say it turned out the Eagles, maybe they're just a really, really good football team, and we just went into Philly riding high off that Packers game and got snake bit. I think it was probably important for us to understand this team's against a better litmus test than like the Eagles, who weren't missing their 3 starting offensive linemen. I think that game did confirm some worrying doubts we had, having the right cornerbacks to be able to run that Fangio cover 1 scheme. They need Andrew Booth Jr. back, and they need him not to just get on the field. They need him to play well, because right now I think their starting 3 is just not going to be able to hold up and allow Ed Donatel to be able to open up that playbook, run the disguises and looks that makes his scheme successful. And then I think, for as bad as Kirk played, as horrible as the pocket awareness, decision-making was, not discrediting that. I mean, you can't play any worse than that. I think just in general as a whole, I think this is such a different offense than what we've ran in the past, what he's used to. So many different moving parts, variables that go into every play, the pre-snap motion, the new verbiage, etc. it was maybe foolish to think that they were going to come right out the gate without a little bit of a learning curve. What works well, what doesn't? Like maybe don't run 67 screen passes a game if the Eagles are sniffing them out, Again, though, I think we can hopefully the dream is look back and say flat out, Eagles just turned out to be one of the best teams in the NFC. And it was a huge learning moment for them. They're not invincible. They've still got plenty of work to do, plenty of things to get better at that. But hopefully they can rally around a loss like that and, make the necessary changes moving forward that kind of fit the strengths of this personnel specifically.
I can't get over Ed Donatel bringing a Madden playbook. I mean, it was like the spot drop, like old school covers. It felt like I was watching like a 20. What was the real
It was
bad?
I think officially
year?
called a shell. A shell was what Troy Aikman referred to.
Yeah, a shell coverage,
to
a
it
word
as.
that everybody
shell.
knows and uses here in the year of our Lord.
To describe a
2022.
specific kind of coverage that helps us understand what's happening more, for sure.
Helpful nomenclature. I don't know. The reasons the defense fell apart in the first half, I think coming right off the game, it felt like, man, Ed Donatel just didn't put his players in a position to win. And then you look at the tape, it's like, oh, and also they screwed up a million times. There were a whole bunch of miscommunications, and there's a lot to fix. But I think all in all, coming off this game for the coaches, specifically for O'Connell and Donatel in a play calling sense, it was a bit of a welcome to the NFL kind of thing. Like for O'Connell, it was a welcome to the NFL kind of moment because he thought it looked like he drew up a game plan that was built to beat a bunch of zone match coverage. There were a bunch of horizontal stretches, a lot of spacing and stuff. And the Eagles weren't as afraid to man up and just like to go man to man as O'Connell thought. And he just kind of got figured out. And that's the lesson learned. Come with a backup plan.
Yeah, the man coverage percentage, I think, is lowest in the NFL, and the zone coverage percentage is highest in the NFL. Kevin Seifert tweeted that one out. You know what games that game reminded me of? 2018 at the Rams, 2021 against the Cardinals last year, where it's early in the season. There's this other team that hasn't really done much to that point, and they kind of just hit you with an offense that you're kind of experiencing a little bit for the first time, like of that iteration. It's another team with like a lot, like young quarterback, a lot of vigor, a lot of excitement around them, and you kind of just get hit in the face with some new stuff that they're doing and stuff that you haven't seen before. That's what it felt like. And I know that neither of those teams won the Super Bowl. In fact, the Cardinals kind of fell off the face of the earth last year. But it had that kind of feeling to me where those are going to be forces to be reckoned with for most of the season. And I think that Philadelphia is probably going to be a force this season. Arif, would you agree with that?
I would say that the evidence for that actually comes from week 1 for Philadelphia and less from week 2, just because I think the Vikings played so poorly, we didn't learn anything positive or negative about the Eagles. And that's not meant to dunk on the Eagles. I have no idea if they're any better or worse after that game.
Yeah, it's just
I think
like
that
easy
they showed
for them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that they showed a lot in the Lions games. There's a bunch of evidence that they're good.
Arif
But
hates the Eagles.
just the Vikings just did such a poor job that I don't think we learned much. So yeah, I mean the Eagles, especially if Jalen Hurts, continues to play at a high level, the Eagles are going to be one of the better offenses in the NFL. The thing is, like in this upcoming Lions game might be a good example of it. I don't know that we even have enough information after 2 weeks to say we know much about these teams, because I think the Lions, who are among the league leaders, if not the league leader in points right now, have an unsustainable offense. And I think the Eagles might be, I'm not going to say they're in the same category because there's a lot of things I like about that offense that I think are sustainable, but the Eagles might have a come to home moment where instead of being an elite offense, they're an above average offense, and that defense is going to have to sharpen up a little bit. So I don't know, but to say stuff about the Eagles would be really difficult right now, just like it would have been difficult to say stuff about that Cardinals team in week 2, because we learned a lot as the season went on about what the Cardinals could and couldn't do. They couldn't complexify the offense as the season went on. That was one of the several problems. The other problem, of course, was video games. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to figure out. Sorry, that's just one of the funniest storylines I've ever heard. It's just hard to figure out who those Eagles are.
I mean, he looks like he's 6, so
right. Yeah,
he runs like he's 6 years old. So maybe they just, I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to hold a child's attention away from video games for too long. So many bright lights.
Yeah.
As a father of a 2.5-year-old, crazy how they understand like technology and iPads and screens and video games at this age.
It's built
Crazy.
into their learning process. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I kind of need to. I don't have the fire going today. We're doing a little
What are
bit
you
of work
reaching
back
towards me
there,
for?
but
Whoa.
but you know, if the fire was going back there,
Oh.
excuse the exercise ball. Pretend that there are flames.
Sure.
You don't need to see my kids rocking horses. We'll turn it back. This is kind of a hot take. Now, I'm not talking about career. I'm not talking about
Sir,
ceiling.
did you point to an empty fireplace to set up a hot take?
A fireplace that was
It's
not
representative.
on for that pun. What?
Just, it's the theater of the mind. I showed you the box. Now,
Now pretend the fireplace is on.
imagine there's flame,
Audio
coming out of
listeners
it.
are having the time of their life.
and YouTube listeners are just smashing that
Just as
like button,
confused as
subscribing,
well.
commenting.
Everybody's gone. They're all logged off. It's over.
Does anyone want to hear the take at this point? I think you do. Stick around.
Absolutely.
Can't be as good as the fireplace, but yeah, let's go.
Sam,
Johnny-
you mentioned that. Hold on, just real quick, because
What are
Sam
we
mentioned the
doing?
2018 Rams-Vikings game. Hold on, this just blew my. I had to look up the box score. Does there anybody? Can anybody guess?
Hold
who
on.
scored?
Hold on. You're gonna
Oh,
ruin
the
my nerdy
Rams game?
stat of the day.
Yeah.
My nerdy stat of the day revolves around this game. So
It
I want you to
does?
tread lightly here.
Okay.
What are you gonna say? You can say it. Go
Oh
ahead.
no,
and say it.
I was just gonna say, can anybody remember? Does anybody remember? Can anybody guess who scored 2 receiving touchdowns for the Vikings that game?
Aldrick Robinson.
the Rams game?
Yeah.
Aldrick Robinson. Look at that.
What a name drop.
And
Didn't
I believe
ruin
he
my
ran
nerdy
the
stat of
wrong
the day
route
either.
on at least one of them.
100%. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Luke, I think we were doing that broadcast from Lucky's live during that game and just in some serious emotional pain.
Mm.
So is Johnny Munt better than Irv Smith?
At blocking.
At
Yeah,
football.
we could have this discussion. Well, I mean, like, who would you rather have on the field, Braun? Johnny Munt or Irv Smith?
Irv.
I'm talking right
Irv Smith.
now. Right
Okay,
now.
so
Definitely Irv Smith. Runs a better route.
but you have to
is
acknowledge
faster,
there's
can
at
run a
least
clear
an
out.
argument for this hot take, right?
If you care more about blocking in tight ends than anything else, then sure. But I don't think anybody does.
Well, I mean, but even as a like, so Johnny Munt is not going to get you a 30-yard reception, right? It
Irv
feels
Smith's
like
gonna
Irv
drop
Smith
you
might
one.
Johnny
not
Munt's
either.
route tree is pretty limited.
It is.
He can run like a return and a spot, and that's about it. Like he can be
would
a
you
part.
rather
He's
have
got as much
Hunter
receiving
Renfrow
prowess as like
or
CJ
Braylon
Ham.
Edwards? Would you rather have Hunter Renfrow or Braylon Edwards?
I don't have an opinion on either of those players. I don't even know what you're trying to draw here.
I'm just saying, Braylon Edwards had a complete route tree, phenomenal route runner, incredible athlete, stone hands. Hunter Renfrow, limited route tree, great hands.
Does Hunter Renfrow have a limited route tree? I didn't even know that.
I mean, he's incredible at those routes, but are you going to send him on a 9?
I have no idea.
Like he's
I
east
haven't
and west
watched a
guy.
Raiders
He's
game
not
in, like,
north
2
and
years.
south guy.
What
Yeah,
playbook
he's-
are you using? Are you using the Madden playbook or not?
Yeah, I'm just
Coryell?
saying that like
yeah.
that Hunter Renfrow
Irv Smith's a lot
is-
more dynamic. And
Okay,
Yeah,
you're
you're
getting
getting
a-
I just did a
much
real
higher
long
ceiling
thing
with
about
Irv,
him.
but
Right, you
I
get a
understand
higher ceiling
Arif. Johnny Munt is a more well-rounded tight end. Is that the argument you're making?
And not
Can
even.
Johnny Munt
You
beat
can do
Tyler
more things with
Conklin?
Irv Smith.
Mhm.
Tyler Conklin
No.
was
I
pretty
don't
darn
think he beat
good.
Tyler Conklin. I don't think Tyler Conklin caught like 20-yard outs at times.
If
I
I'm having a
ultimately
tight
think
end
that-
run a dig route on the backside, Irv Smith gets separation on that twice as often. I
Did he get
way
separation
more
against the
trust
Eagles?
Irv
'Cause
Smith to get open
He was locked up by
Yes.
TJ Edwards. Locked up.
on that shallow cross. He had to chip on that play,
Yeah,
and the other one he was cutting into inside leverage.
I've seen Kyle
shouldn't have
Rudolph
been
chip
thrown.
on plays and get separation on crossers. Man, that's not. That's
Hey,
okay. So I'll say that the Vikings should continue to give Irv Smith chances, right? I think that that what he did against the Eagles is not the totality of his career. But I think it's worth having the conversation about whether or not, it's better to have Johnny Munt on the field. Right now, I think it's probably better to have Irv Smith on the field, but I want to say that there's definitely rooms for uncertainty on that question.
Snaps through the first two games, 68-53 in favor of Johnny Munt. Irv Smith did not have a leg injury, guys. Like, it's not like his conditioning should be that far off. This is a move that's because of some perception of talent. I think from
it's
the
a
coaching
blocking
staff.
because it's 12 their 12 personnel is Johnny Munt and Ben Ellefson because they want those guys to be on double teams against edge rushers, which that's a knock on Irv Smith's blocking, but that's what it's about. If I need a tight end to get open, I'm giving it to Irv Smith. Irv Smith gets open more often than Johnny Munt. Full stop.
Okay, final thing before we move on from this topic.
I have one more thing on this topic as well.
Oh, sure. If you wanted to design an offense that puts that tight end on the field that allows you to be versatile enough to either block or run a route, right? So you go up to the line, you see that there's 7 in the box to your 8, so you decide to run, or you go up to the line and see that there's 8 in the box to your 8, so you decide to throw a pass. You need to make that audible at the line based on the personnel that you have because there's 15 seconds left on the play clock, or you need to kill or whatever it is you need to do. Which tight end do you want out there so that you can make that call so you can both run and catch?
I think both me and the Vikings want Irv Smith because Irv Smith's the one playing in 11 personnel, I believe, more often. But I want Irv Smith because
they didn't run the ball
I
against
do more
Philly.
there.
That was not part of the plan. Was not to audible in and out of runs against Philly.
They did audible into one.
They had some weird moments at the line of scrimmage in that game. That's another take.
I will take in that, especially at the tight end position. I will take Irv Smith with the wider array of abilities in the pass game. If it means a little bit less blocking, I'm okay with that. To your like Braylon Edwards, Hunter Renfrow thing, probably a little bit different with a wide receiver, but for a tight with a tight end, I want somebody who I want a tight end that can be the deep route in a progression that puts way more stress on a defense, and somebody that can get separation more often. Did you watch Johnny Munt run a return route? It looked like Kyle Rudolph today. It is slow and it's not going to get away from people.
What are you trying to say? Wait a minute. No, I'm with Luke. The answer is Irv, but I totally understand the argument in the case that Arif's making, that Munt clearly the better blocker, maybe a little bit more versatile, but the ceiling for sure is higher with Irv, clearly.
So I think you can communicate with us, Matt, from the studio back in Hartford, Connecticut. Did Irv Smith's dropped touchdown cost you your fantasy win last week?
No.
No, because you lost by a ton, or because you won by a ton?
No, because I won by a ton. But he's on the bench from now on.
Yeah. Because that could have been a massive Irv fantasy day. That could have been 2 TDs, one of them 50 yards or more. That could have been 20, 25-point Irv day. But
you guys
dropped
killed me. I took 3 Vikings guys just because of that, and now Dalvin Cook barely gets anything either. So thanks.
So is Kevin O'Connell really one of these guys that doesn't do play action because the run isn't established? Is that another Philly takeaway? Because they barely did play action
for years. He said it all the time in
KOC's
Washington when he was the offensive coordinator. Yeah, when Bill Callahan wanted to establish the run, he was like, "I'd like to establish the pass to set up the pass." He's not been shy about it.
I don't know if we're answering the same question.
Luke's doing it in a roundabout way. I think he's saying that in order to do stuff like play action, you don't really need to establish the run because you can use the pass as your focal point and then work everything off of that. When we asked Kevin O'Connell that yesterday, he gave a tremendously unclear answer. It was very annoying. Because mostly he talked about pressing and point differential for the first half of the answer. Then he finally got to play pass at the end, and it was just a nothing burger. No, I think that he had a plan for what would be the best way to attack the Philadelphia defense, and he over-focused on that plan. I think that in the past, when you've seen, Matt Stafford or Jared Goff engage in like play action passing, they haven't. A lot of the best play action passes come before the run has become a big part of what they were doing in that game. So it doesn't seem like that's a tendency that they have.
Plenty more to come on today's show, including, are you a believer in Detroit's resurgence? The nerdy stat of the day. We've got our gambling picks for the week, and Ron Johnson joins as well. Reminder, subscribe to Locked On Sports Minnesota for this show, as well as Superior Sports Talk, The Ron Johnson Show, and instant reaction postcasts after Vikings, Wolves, Wild, and Twins games. Luke Braun, host of the Locked On Vikings postcast. We've got Lions talk around the corner, but before we get to that, let me tell you that betonline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Pro and college football team matchups, news, podcasts, articles, analysis, really whatever you need at betonline.net. You can check out the Gophers-Spartans line for this weekend. Gophers are favored by a field goal. Vikings are favored by 6 against the Lions. That line's not moving too much. That game at US Bank Stadium. Get up-to-the-minute lines on all of these games at betonline.net. And it's not just NFL. It's MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf as well, amongst other sports. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Arif, you think the Lions are frauds. You didn't have the courage to tell Matt Derry to his face, so tell him behind his back. Why are the Lions frauds?
I hadn't broken down the Lions by then, first of all. Second, I just think that the offense is unsustainable. I think they're a good team. I think that they're playing like a great team, right? So frauds in some sense of the word. But I will say, like, the things that stand out to me are every kind of element of evaluating, like, say, run blocking, because they're a run-first team. Every element of run blocking evaluation will tell us that the Lions are not killing everybody with extremely sound run blocking. You take a look at PFF grades, their offensive line's run blocking grades are kind of average. You take a look at run block win rate from ESPN, it's not astounding. You take a look at SIS run block points gained, it's not astounding, right? Yet DeAndre Swift is averaging 10 yards a game, or 10 yards a carry, 10 yards a carry, and 5.35 or 4.75, whatever, yards before contact, right? Which is just stunning to me. So what's the deal? What's going on? I think it's because the Lions are running a really complex run blocking scheme that over time people will be able to break down. A lot of traps, a lot of random pulls from players that don't typically pull. You've got, tackles pulling, guards pulling. You've got counters with pulls going to the right direction, counter tray stuff that you see from Oklahoma. You call me going into monologue mode. Luke was going into monologue mode at the very beginning of the show. I didn't see any Chiron. All right, Matt. But they do a bunch of they do a bunch of really complex stuff that I think will get broken down. The problem, of course, is that the run blocking may not be phenomenal on an individual perspective, but it's going to get better because people like Jonah Jackson and Frank Ragnow are going to get healthy again. So there are some opportunities for them to gain back some of the unsustainable gains they'd already had.
Lions resurgence. Here's the deal. Turn that fire up, baby. I'm a believer. Here's the deal. Seriously, I'm a believer from where the bar has been set the past, 2 decades compared to now. Yeah, they're clearly improved. And win or lose, fans should be excited. If you're a Lions fan, you should be excited because at least they're going to give you a show. They've been putting up points. Now, when you've been this bad for 20-plus years, there's only one place to go. You can't get any worse than starting off the season 0-10-1 last year like they did in 2021. I think Dan Campbell has them heading in the right direction to maybe be a 500 ball club, which, again, I think most Lions fans will take that at this point. They finished last season 3-3. They're 1-1 this season, 4-4 in their last 8 games, in part because Arif's right. That offense, although it may not be sustainable, they've averaged 34.5 points per game in their last 6 matchups. The offense can put up points. The defense still clearly way behind their biggest weakness. Aiden Hutchinson will probably help. 3 sacks this season. Josh Paschal should be off the pup soon. That'll help. They're building their team, though, in the right fashion, the right way, through the trenches first and foremost. Arif mentioned an outstanding offensive line because they've invested so many early picks in them. And now Hutch and Paschal, maybe the defense can follow suit. And then when you can hit on a couple day 3 picks like Blake Rodrigo, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 6th round like they have, it just makes things so much easier from a team building standpoint. Lions are much improved. They'll be fun the entire season, scoring a lot of points. But until they get the defense figured out, I think they're capped at 500 at best for now, which, again, if you're a Lions fan, still a huge improvement from what you've been used to.
Yeah, a lot of unsustainable stuff
like...
there on that offense too, right, Luke? I mean, 50-yard runs are not going to happen every week. Passing game still leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and once we get past, the first month of the season, that stuff tends to level out, and we aren't so, because right now our only information is 2 games, right? But I feel like with the Lions, how much of their excitement, and I'm kind of genuinely asking, how much of their excitement is that they're better than they've always been, and how much of their excitement is that they're actually a real team? Are we just oh my God, they're going to be 7-10? How lucky for them? Or are we actually saying this team has a shot at being a playoff team? Because that's a way bigger step. The bar's
been set so low. Yeah.
The former.
Yeah.
It's the former.
Part of it is,
we're all like, this is adorable.
Right.
Eric
people
Eager
want to
has a hashtag campaign going.
Condescending.
Almost. Well, I mean, so there's 2 reasons I think people want to cheer for the Lions. One is that they've constantly been beaten up, right? They've just been this broken franchise that, hasn't, I don't think they made the playoffs this decade, right? The last time was 2010. So it was 12, 13.
I think it was more recent.
2014? Okay.
Oh, versus the Cowboys?
Yeah, they got
screwed
on a pass interference.
That's right. Yeah, but it's been a while since they made the playoffs, enough that I forgot when they last made the playoffs. That's one reason. The other reason is that everyone likes Dan Campbell, and we just want him to succeed. He's just a giant, puppy dog, right? Everyone wants Dan Campbell to do well. And so I think seeing that actually happen, it warms something in our cynical hearts.
Was that a real quote I saw of Campbell, not a Rastapasta account where he's like, I spent Monday night drunk in my chair?
That's fake.
That's
no
fake?
Well, I mean, I can't confirm that it's fake, but you give me betting odds, fake.
Okay, so if I Twitter search Dan Campbell drunk.
For it.
Dan Campbell, this is from Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Sports Nation. Dan Campbell admits to getting drunk scouting the Vikings on Monday Night Football. Pretty sure it's real.
No.
No.
Quote God, Dan Campbell says he scouted the Vikings on Monday Night Football by getting fall over in his chair drunk.
Just seeing a bunch of people repeating it doesn't tell you that it's real. Have you found a verified account yet?
I'm looking for something.
No, here's another one.
Here.
No, I'm just kidding.
I found another tweet, guys.
I don't know. Yeah, it's right here.
So here's a sports radio guy in Detroit.
Just post whatever you want.
Normally, like any fan would, I fell over backwards in my chair drunk after the second half. I couldn't even take notes anymore. Woke up, couldn't read my notes. But I'm back in this morning, took some aspirin, we're good. That's a legit guy.
Screams blue-collar Detroit head coach, doesn't it? This is their guy.
Okay, so the account that made it go viral is, I think, a fake account.
Will Birchfield?
Yeah, do you know, have you heard Will Birchfield on 97.1 The Ticket? Have you heard his stuff on radio?
Have
not
you?
had the pleasure.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's followed by legit people.
I don't listen to local Detroit radio.
Right, I'm just saying I cannot confirm that this is. Much people might find him funny, right? I don't know.
I'm so disappointed if this is not true.
Sam, you know how Twitter works, right? Like I cannot emphasize enough that you can put whatever you want in your bio. I put a Kansas City Chiefs co-owner in my bio for like a year and a half.
Oh, congrats, man.
I don't own the Luke.
Oh.
What?
Because of the
it's not
you
real.
Can do anything.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. We're learning.
Nerdy stat of the day. I've got one that I want to get out before anyone else steals it because Luke tried to. Nerdy stat of the day. Jared Goff has one perfect passer rating in his career versus the Vikings in 2018 as a member of the Rams. Does anyone want to guess his yardage in that game? Because it was absurd.
Like total yardage?
Yeah.
Random guess, 382.
I want to say it was over 400. It was like 450 or something.
Oof.
383.
It was like insane. It broke Mike Zimmer.
Broke Anthony Barr, broke Mike Zimmer, broke John DeFilippo, even though he was the offensive coordinator. 465 yards, 5 touchdowns
Yeah.
in that game.
Yep.
465?
Yikes.
Okay. Zim got solved.
Mm.
Found a way to get Cooper Kupp on Anthony Barr, and everybody thought that meant Barr was bad.
Robert Woods, right?
No. It was Kupp
Oh, I
on,
thought it was
on
Robert
like
Woods on
It was
Anthony Barr.
everybody.
Kupp had a 70
Oh, you know what? It
and
might be
a
both.
like 18-yarder. And then I think Woods had one too, though, as well.
Yeah, Woods had.
I know
Woods
Todd
had-
Gurley.
So,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah,
Barr
Gurley
gave
got
up
one in
3
the red zone.
touchdowns, 1 to Woods, 1 to Kupp maybe, and definitely 1 to Gurley because Gurley always ran an angle route on that play, and then that play he decided not
Yes.
to, and so Barr
Yes.
kind of the
Yeah.
angle route, and honestly, I cannot blame Barr for any of those touchdowns.
Not at all. I
No.
wasn't even
It's just
mad.
so rough,
No.
man.
Yeah.
Folks sure did.
Oh yeah,
People somehow talked themselves into Eric Wilson being better for like 2 years.
safety.
He was
Eric Wilson.
coasting. Eric
Yeah,
Wilson was pretty
he was
good in
coasting.
2020.
Ah.
Nerdy stats of the day. Who's got one?
Well, ever since
I got one.
Arif blessed us with the, I got it just real quick because mine's. I mean, we know I'm not that big of a nerd, guys, and I'm basically just. I've become obsessed with the pass rush win rate ever since Arif showed us that. Sam, apparently we were living in a cave because this is just like normal stuff. This isn't even that cool. Everybody gets this. Updated through 2 weeks, Brian O'Neill ranks top 10 in run block win rate.
Unblocking.
Quick
Yeah.
snap. Yeah, woo. Quick snapshot where the Vikings team ranks pass rush win rate, just 25th in the league at 33%. Not great. Run stop win rate, just 24th in the league at 27%. Team pass block win rate, check this out, Vikings ranked 7th in the NFL. And team run block win rate, Vikings ranked 14th. So obviously getting gashed by the Eagles has skewed some of these rankings for the Vikes, but obviously defensively being in the bottom 7 and 8 in pass rush and run stop win rate, not what you want. Hopefully these revert back to the mean a little bit after this game with the Lions.
I'm so proud Luke's using real nerd stats that matter.
Thanks, Dad.
Pretty soon he's going to have glasses.
Oh my god. He's growing.
Where are
right
you
in front
going?
of
I'm
us.
going out. It's 11:30. Checking stats.
That's great. I was going to use potentially any of those as my nerdy stat of the week, but I'm really
Oh.
glad Luke did. But I have some more because, of course, I do. Ranked number 1 in yards before contact, DeAndre Swift. Ranked number 1 in yards after contact, DeAndre Swift.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Ranked 20th in run block win rate, Detroit Lions. I'm wondering how much of this is DeAndre Swift. How much of this is
Are you arguing that a
impressive-
running back matters?
I'm wondering. I am making suppositions.
You're just
that
asking
maybe-
questions?
I'm just asking questions. No, I think that both those numbers will go down, but the success rate will go up as they return those incredible stars. Also, they want to get Logan Stenberg out of there, man. Like, he plays like the way Dan Campbell wants people to play, but also he might be the worst pass protecting guard in the NFL right now. So they want to get Logan Stenberg out of there.
Do we, now that we're on that topic, do we have a update as far as Frank Ragnow, Jonah Jackson, Taylor Decker? I saw they were all on the injury report yesterday.
I
Anything more to
believe Jonah
glean from
Jackson
them?
did not
Any idea?
participate. Frank Ragnow was a limited participant, so I would expect to see him.
Okay.
Sam, I was only quickly glancing. Do you have that in front of you?
Yeah. So the DNPs yesterday, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ragnow limited foot and Jackson DNP finger.
Okay.
So
great.
nothing new today yet. We'll get that later. But they've got 4 guys DNP, 4 guys limited, and 1 guy full. So, yeah, much deeper injury list than the Vikings. They had Booth
Only have
and
like
Smith.
2, right?
Yeah, pretty healthy team.
So I want you to think about Arif's numbers as context for the numbers I'm about to give you, which are the Vikings run defense. Worst in the league, DVOA. Worst in the league, rush success rate allowed. Worst in the league at generating stuffed rate. I don't actually know what goes into that stat, but I see it everywhere. Worst in the league, adjusted line yards. Part of this is a stat from Eric Eager. The Vikings use an average of 5.77 men in the box. So averaging lighter than a 6-man box. And they're the only team to average lighter than a 6-man box. Part of this is schematic, but not all of it. It's a bad rush defense. And this is arguably the best rush offense in the league, whether it's because of DeAndre Swift or because of using a lot more trap and like wham blocks than everybody else is. So nobody's prepped for it. That figures to be a
prepped
problem.
for zone, and then they trap block you.
It's so Dan Campbell. Like let's just hit you. Screw this willy-nilly zone. Let's get outside. We're going straight
into
up
a
and
landmark.
down, baby.
The guy you're trying to block's right in front of you. Just hit him in the mouth.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a question. I've got a question now that the nerdy stats have been uttered. Has there been a point where you missed Mike Zimmer? Have you missed him in game?
Yeah, third downs.
Third downs? Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. The Vikings
Third
were
down,
what
God.
allows 60-70% on third downs against the Eagles. Abysmal. Mike Zimmer would never let that happen. Or, I mean, he has occasionally let that happen, but rarely lets that happen.
Yeah.
Just bring him in
That
for
is,
like Thursday third down day, and then he can call the third down defense.
I'm sure he would say yes to that.
You do got to be curious, though, just like how Mike Zimmer would have attacked that game plan as far as obviously Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, that whole running game, everything else. Who knows? I mean, I got to imagine it would have looked a lot different than what Ed Donatel deployed there Monday.
Dude, there were
always
4 players in the box. Mike Zimmer would never do that.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's unreal.
I wrote in my diary
Against the Eagles.
about
What are we doing?
things I miss about Mike Zimmer.
Oh,
Really
you wrote
poured
it
my
down?
soul out. Yeah. Maybe we can like dub in some emotional music. I miss his one-word answers. I miss his defensiveness on Monday morning press conferences. I miss the angry postgame press
you'll get it.
conferences. I miss the push-ups he makes guys do during training camp. I miss the subtle shots at rookies conditioning. I miss the annual mic'd up segment, which was always really good. I miss the team supplied baggy hoodie and sweats that were way too big that he would wear all the time. I miss unkempt Mike Zimmer after his team had lost several games in a row. I miss you, Mike.
You'll get a lot of those things as the honeymoon wears off here.
Is
I think.
KOC just going to go straight like Ron Burgundy beard after he loses his job? Like where he just grows it,
Oh, 100%.
drinks warm milk?
I was really hoping you would do this in the style of I Love Kanye from The Life of Pablo. I miss the old Zimmer, straight from the go Zimmer, chop up the soul Zimmer, set on his goal Zimmer.
Oh my gosh.
That's
So
what I
good.
the cadence was getting there, you know?
So good. That is beautiful. Yeezy taught me.
Genius.
Oh my god.
Yeezy taught you well.
Mike
Look,
Zimmer and
there's
Kanye
always
just
going to be
both
stuff.
misunderstood.
There's always going to be
I
stuff that
agree.
the other guy was good at, that the new guy is like. They're different coaches with different skill sets. There's always going to be stuff that you might miss about the old guy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's time to move on.
No, you're
it's time
mistaken.
for
He's not-
You're
something
he's
new.
mistaken,
saying
Luke.
that
I miss
Zimmer
him
is
for the
better.
stuff he was bad at,
Misses.
like
Yeah.
speaking in public and dressing.
Yeah.
It's time to move
I-
on.
okay,
It's a new day.
you
a
missed
new
the
age.
obvious
Stop
one.
thinking about your ex.
Worst
What
public
about
speaker,
the,
Mike Zimmer or Adam Zimmer?
Say again.
Mike Zimmer
Mike.
or Adam Zimmer? Worst public speaker.
Oh god.
Mike.
You think Mike?
Adam could still string. Adam had a little bit of a. I don't know. I don't want to like begrudge him for having a little stutter. He did have a little bit of that, but he could string together like some pretty good thoughts, like consistent.
Adam Zimmer looked better on the transcript, but in terms of commanding a room, Mike Zimmer easily.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Zimmer instilled crazy fear. Oh my God.
Sam, you missed. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's
Mike
great.
Zimmer at his ranch,
incredible.
sensing the
We have
Eagles
56 likes.
piling it on
That's
against
good.
the Vikings. That's a YouTube exclusive.
Yeah, Sam, you missed the best one. Don't you miss Mike Zimmer and Chris Thomason getting at it, butting heads 3 days a week, 4 days a week?
That I do
Yes.
genuinely. We'll get there. Give it time.
Don't
my
we
heart.
all?
Give it time.
My
Give it a
heart.
couple more losses. Give it a playoff loss.
Mm-hmm.
So Eli Manning, Chad Powers, Penn State. You guys seen that? That video, Eli's Places? Who hasn't seen it?
Oh wait, the
Who
chat
lives under
No,
a
I
rock?
haven't, but
Vaguely familiar.
I have. I get it. I think I get it.
Okay. He dresses up like a guy with long hair and mustache, talks kind of funny,
Yeah, Chet
and goes
Powers.
to a Penn
Chet
State
Powers
tryout.
fast.
The think fast, run fast. Think fast, run fast.
That's what fast.
Eli Manning is extremely cool, and it would be really cool if he was like an alumni of your favorite team or organization. It got me thinking, who is the coolest former Viking that pops up in media or pop culture today?
I don't
really
know
broad
where you guys are
definition
at.
of cool.
Johnny Randall's great, right? Always on Twitter every Friday morning,
Yeah.
about to tee off at the golf course. Legit, head to toe, dripping in purple swag, purple knee-high socks, purple polo, purple hat. Got the big old stogie in his mouth. That's the one that jumps out to me, anyways, right away.
The most public
say Randy
one
Moss.
might be
Yeah.
Randy Moss, but personally, I find Alan Page's swag to be insanely cool.
Mhm.
Tiny hat,
Yes.
runs marathons, has an
Of course,
insanely
you would
cool
say
car.
Alan Page. That's so
Yeah,
unoriginal.
of course I would.
Just
What?
goes out to the
How
corner
many
and plays
former
his tuba.
Vikings can you
Dude's
pick
living.
that would be original picks here?
I mean, you're just
But
you
a lot of the
kinda have,
most famous
this-
Viking. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Oh, Arif,
Yeah,
the
I
guy
mean-
that you liked 5 years ago, you still like? How unoriginal to yourself. You're really deriving off your old works, Arif. The
We
opinions
get it,
that you had
dude.
are consistent. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
your priors gave you away on that one. I was expecting
Well,
something more original.
You've seen Alan Page like playing like trombone while in his like 1940s cruiser or whatever, right? Like that looks
Yeah.
so cool.
Okay, I admit
that's
it.
pretty baller.
Alan
Yeah.
Page is pretty cool.
All
Alan
right,
Page is pretty cool.
Let's move
I
on.
said
Luke
it.
Braun,
Adrian
do you have an answer
Peterson
better than that?
just boxed Le'Veon Bell. Did you see that? Did you guys see that? We haven't talked about that, have we?
You sure
Yeah, I
didn't
don't know
end
that
up
that
looking
would
cool on that
be
one.
a good fit for this particular bit when we're asking about coolest former Vikings, seeing a guy get knocked out.
Okay,
But
you're
yeah.
right. You're right. How about you're right. How about Brett Favre?
Mm.
No.
I've seen his name in the
Ah.
news. Lately.
Yeah, what's that about?
What's next, Sam?
What's
Jared Allen, when he pops up, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this bit was
Curling
a
and stuff.
That's
disaster.
always fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Brian
Is Ron
Robinson
Johnson
back
here?
doing 98, 96 questions.
Hey,
Yeah.
doing some
I
fishing
saw
stuff.
like one of the bits. Yeah.
Ron, hello, Ron. Ron,
You got Ron?
Please rescue
Hey.
there
this.
he is. Ron Johnson of the Ron Johnson Show at 3 Ron Johnson on Twitter joins us now for his weekly appearance. Ron, I know that your dad played for the Steelers. You're kind of a Steelers guy back in the day. You're also a Detroit guy. Vikings played Detroit on Sunday. What kind of relationship did you have with the Lions growing up?
I mean, I know Lomas Brown. He lived around the street from my dad. Herman Moore. Other than that, that was it. I like Barry Sanders. I wore number 20 growing up, played running back, so I was a Barry Sanders fan. But just wasn't a Lions fan. I definitely wanted to see those guys do well, the guys that I knew. But other than that, that was about it.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to be a diehard, lifelong Lions fan to see what they've seen over the past several decades. What do you make of where this Lions team is at right now, Ron?
I mean, they're embracing what Detroit's about. If you think about, the bad boys back to Isaiah Thomas days, you think about Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, in that team with Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince. If they had drafted, I still don't understand to this day why they didn't just draft Carmelo Anthony. They would have had 5 championships by now. But if you think about that type of basketball atmosphere, you think about Draymond Green, and the Flintstones, the kids from Flint, that kind of like an extension of Detroit. It's just hard-nosed bully ball. And that's what Dan Campbell is trying to get them back to, is just, beat your guy up on the field, legally within the whistle. But if the whistle hasn't blown, take them 10 feet down the field. If the whistle hasn't blown, push him out of bounds. If a guy's holding a guy up, I need 15 guys, standing around celebrating him if he gets knocked out of bounds. I mean, that's the things that he's trying to get these guys to do, is play for each other. Matthew Stafford had a great team, but for some reason they just didn't have that oomph. They never could really get over the hump. I truly believe if Matthew Stafford probably played for Dan Campbell and the direction this defense is going, I do think he probably, and I say win a Super Bowl, but I think he could have done some interesting things with his mindset. Matthew Stafford just had some of the, he had Jim Caldwell, which I think they never gave a shot, and then he had a couple terrible coaches after that. So that's what the Lions are about, though. They're going to be hard-nosed, gritty. They're going to fight you, and they want to embrace what the city is about, and it's blue-collar hard work.
Hey, Ron, so much excitement made about this 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver looks for the Vikings under KOC when he was hired. Is there any legitimate maybe substance or cause for concern why Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne haven't received more looks and gotten good targets? Or do you think this kind of balances itself out here over the next few weeks?
It's a little bit of cause for alarm, just for the simple fact of I haven't really looked at the All-22 to even see if they're open. Mm-hmm. They talked about scheming guys open and what Cooper Kupp did. I think the thing about Matthew Stafford was he's willing to hold the ball and, get hit, throw the ball at the last minute. We haven't seen that just yet in this offense from Kirk Cousins. It feels like sometimes he feels rushed and throws not a great ball, just kind of like throw it up, let me not get hit. And so it might not be in him. It might not be in him to make some of those throws where some of these plays are late developing. Some of these plays you have to kind of hold on to the ball a little bit. We saw Jared Goff even do it with the Rams. We saw Matthew Stafford do it with the Rams. So, we've seen Tom Brady do it, Drew Brees. Some guys, Peyton Manning, his was a little bit different. He would run that long, handoff and create a secondary pocket for himself by rolling out. So I don't know where Kirk Cousins' niche is going to be, what he's going to be in this offense. But eventually they got to figure it out. Like the rubber's going to meet the road real soon. This might be the week where he's either got to, stand up tall in the pocket, take a hit, or do what he did last week, which is get rid of the ball before he feels like anybody's even coming. So it's a little cause for concern because I think some of the late developing routes, like the throw to Adam Thielen where Avonte Maddox picked it off, throws a little bit sooner. It's probably a catch. Avonte doesn't have time to react. So Kirk Cousins just has to trust his guys are going to get to the spot and get rid of the ball a little sooner.
I want to get your thoughts on whether or not you see a loss on the Gophers' schedule. 42 points per game point differential, but also just like obviously with the Vikings, what do you think the ideal Vikings offense looks like?
Well, as far as the loss for the Gophers, honestly, no, it's tough right now. This Michigan State is going to really tell us what this team's about. The early non-conference stuff, the thing about the teams they played, they weren't good at all. But this offensive line is really good. John Michael Schmitz, the center, is one of the best centers in college football. You got Quinn Carroll, who just transferred from Notre Dame. He should have been a Gopher from the start. I don't know why kids do that and go play somewhere else and don't play. But he's come back home and he's getting a chance to start at tackle. He's looking good. So when you look at this offensive line, this team, Mo Ibrahim is one of the best running backs in the country. We know that he's, I think, almost 500 yards rushing, and he's leading the nation or second in the nation in rushing. So Michigan State, it depends if they can stop the run. Washington showed us what they can do, which is they couldn't stop a nosebleed if you threw the ball. And so if Chris Autman-Bell's out, it's up to Dalen Wright and who else is going to step up. So, no, I don't see an immediate loss, but if there is one, it's Michigan State. After that, I think they can roll it out until they get to Iowa, Wisconsin. As far as the Vikings offense, I think it is what it is. I think we see what it is. But any offense like this, when it's predicated on quarterback play, because the Rams felt that way. They felt like, look, we have a good offense, but Jared Goff's not getting it done. So they trade him for Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford comes in and wins the Super Bowl in year 1, year 2. Not looking so hot right now. This is where I go with that. If Kirk Cousins can let go, always joke about Hoodie Mello. When Carmelo put on that hoodie in the gym, he was lights out. At some point, Kirk's got to put on a hoodie and just warm up like Eminem, getting ready to freestyle battle in the shelter versus Papa Doc. Like,
That
Kirk
would be so
Cousins
much fun
has
to
to
see that.
let go. He has to put a hoodie on. He has to be Hoodie Kurt and just have fun. Let go. Like be a different guy. And that's what Carmelo became. Carmelo became Hoodie Mello because when he put that hoodie on, he was lights out in the gym. And so I don't know. I don't know if somebody can loan Kirk a hoodie. I don't know if
Gotta go zero
Unreal
dark
can get
LeBron.
Kirk an
What
all
happened to
black
that?
hoodie.
Yeah, the zero dark
I don't think that's Kirk. That's not Kirk.
Too far. Too far.
No.
That
Too
ain't
far.
Kirk.
Way
Too
too far.
much.
Way too far.
Too far.
But he can get a hoodie on. I think he can put a hoodie on and he can become a different guy. But he's got to have that mentality. Like he's got to have that mentality. Like he just smoked a joint, had a shot of whiskey, and he's relaxed. Like he's got to relax, and I think that's part of it.
I would love to
Has
see
he
the
ever
look on
done
his
about
face.
either
desert.
of those things?
Probably not. Probably not.
Hey,
Get him out to the desert with
Gophers
Aaron
legend,
Rodgers and do
Ron
some
Johnson
ayahuasca.
said you should smoke a joint. What do you think, Kirk?
Like yeah, pop a pill or something.
Yeah.
Take a legal marijuana pill. It's legal in Chicago. It's legal in Colorado. Just go do something.
Not a
That's
drug.
what I'm saying.
Not a drug.
Get him out to the desert. Someone call Shailene.
Shailene.
He is not divergent. We figured that out.
So there's a lot of young players in the Vikings locker room right now that just kind of got punched in the mouth for the first time. That's a real frustrating loss, and that's a bad thing. Adam Thielen had a quote about how, hey, it's nice, the coaches aren't yelling at us this time, different culture. And I was wondering if you had any insight on like what you preferred after that kind of game. Would you prefer a coach that really holds your feet to the fire, holds you to account, really pushes you like that? Because I don't know a lot of players liked that. Or would you rather something a little more laid back like the culture they have now? And also, like, what would you tell young players that are so, guys that somebody comes from Ohio State, used to winning all the time, gets their teeth kicked in like that, maybe isn't as used to it. What kind of thing would you have to say?
I think PJ Fleck said it best. He was a sixth grade teacher or something like that. And he said, when you're teaching football players, you have to treat it like a classroom. Every kid learns differently. Like some kids take to like you joking with them. Some kids can't handle it. Some kids can take a little feisty pushback. Some kids can't take it. So these coaches have to take, this is their first year. So they've got to learn how these players react to what they do. And so I think yelling is probably not the best way to get and create and build like a relationship with your players. Like if you just getting in the door, you've been here for 2-3 months, whatever it is, 4 months, after your first, sign of adversity, if you just start going off like you MF, you this, blah, blah, you guys aren't this. I don't know if you can get to that. Like in Varsity Blues, I'm pretty sure coach, wasn't like that when he first started off. Like I'm pretty sure, after his first state, or whatever, he was super nice. He earned that right to be an absolute butthole. But then eventually he got fired for trying to, shoot up dudes' knees and put Billy Bob back out there with a concussion. But when you're trying to understand your team, you got to figure out what's going to motivate them. And so I think this is just their first step. Okay, we lost. Here's adversity. Let's try it this way. Let's see how they respond this week of practice. Let's see how they respond against the Lions. Now, if they come out flat against the Lions and they lay an egg, then maybe he does MF them. Maybe he's like, you know what? Okay, I tried to be the nice parent. Doesn't work. Good cop, bad cop. He's going to be both. I was good cop 1 week. Now I'm going to be bad cop this week and see what happens. Because then if they, after bad cop, they go, and they actually destroy the next team, then maybe it's like, you know what? You guys might need a little bit of, fire lit under your butts. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And sometimes as a kid, this, like if you do something to disappoint your parents and they don't yell at you, they just kind of give you that disappointed look. That sometimes hurts worse. Like it hurts worse because you're like, man, I really let them down. And so maybe they're trying to use a little psychology on these players and say, look, we're in this together, man. We're just as disappointed as you guys. You're grown men. Like you're getting paid a lot of money. This is your job. Let's see what you do next week against the Lions. And then we'll debate and decide on how we go about it next time. But defensive lineman, I think you can curse out any defensive lineman and linebacker. I think they'll be fine. Some of them. I I think receivers and quarterbacks, offensive line, you can't really do that with them. Like defensive line, they're absolute, like they eat raw meat. So I think you can curse out your defensive line. Defensive line coaches and linebackers coaches are a little bit different than receivers and quarterbacks coaches. So you gotta play that too. So maybe Adam got the nice and the defensive guys got the crazy, but we'll never know until the rest of the players start to speak up about what their week looked like.
I've got a feeling that Chris Rumpf, the new defensive line coach, is not all like daisies and rainbows in the meeting room. Ron Johnson, you'll be on the round table tomorrow. We'll get more into this Lions-Vikings game. Looking forward to that with Reggie Wilson and Luke Inman. At 3Ron Johnson on Twitter, The Ron Johnson Show. Thanks a lot for joining us, Ron.
No, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. Always appreciate those segments with Ron Johnson. That round table will drop on Friday morning on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Make sure to subscribe. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts or right here on YouTube. Let's gamble, gentlemen. These are the standings after last week. Inman went 1-1, 2-2 overall. You are our leader, Luke Inman. And you're leading, though you have lost money from the original $1,000 bankroll. You're down to $934 and change. Luke Braun with the 2-0 week. You climb into second at $913. I went 0-2. I remain in third place at $822. Arif Hasan 0-2 in last with $764.
I lost big, too.
Big.
From the lead, you collapsed like a Falcons team.
Ooh. Yikes. $300 max bet this week, Mythical Dollars. We're making one pick against the spread and then one over-under. It's my turn to start in the rotation, and I get my pick of the litter here. I'm going to go with Baltimore, just because they blew a massive fourth-quarter lead against the Dolphins. They were still up 35-14 in that game, and they still destroyed the Jets. I'm not bought into the New England Patriots just yet, so I'm going to take the Ravens -3 on the road at -110, and I'm going to put $100 on it. And next will be Luke Inman.
Well, I teased it at the beginning of the show. Smash that over Vikings. What's it at now? 52, 52 and a half? Can anybody confirm that for me? 52 and a half, it looks like. Over is at -115. Mm-hmm. Lions have averaged 34.5 points in their last 6 games. Their defense, though, just horrible. I think they rank 31st and 30th in points for and yards against. Perfect little game for the Vikings to come back home, get their confidence going. I think this one's a shootout for sure. Give me, what's the max bet, Sam?
300 with a minimum of 30.
Okay, give me $200 on that over.
200 on the over. He's playing with house money. He's the leader. Next up, Arif Hasan.
Pretty sad that you took the Ravens, especially because the odds were so good. I'm gonna take the Buffalo Bills -6 against Miami. I don't quite believe in Tua Tagovailoa quite yet. He could still prove me wrong. But even if I did believe in them, the Buffalo Bills are just so overwhelmingly good. They don't even have to blitz. They send 4 at I think one of the highest rates in the league and still get pressure. They're incredible. It's so nice to have 4 Pro Bowlers on your defense at the same time playing at an all-pro level. So yeah, the Bills are really good. I'm going to take them -6.
How much?
-107, and I'm going to bet $200. I need to get back in it.
Okay, Luke Braun, you're next.
All right, I get to double back here. I'm going to short the market here in a couple of ways because these lines have moved a lot over the week. First, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Green Bay Packers started as the Buccaneers being favored by a little bit, and it has just trickled and trickled. It also opened at 46.5, and now the over-under's way too far for me to want to take it. It's down to 41.5.
Yeah,
so I am going. It has dropped a lot, and so has the market's faith in the Buccaneers.
Points.
I think it's gone too far. Yeah, they
Wow.
hammered.
I don't think I've ever seen a game drop like that in 4 days.
Part of that was Mike Evans getting suspended, but
okay.
I still I'm gonna take. I don't like any of these over/unders, so I'm gonna be really conservative, or any of these spreads. So I'm gonna be conservative here. I'm gonna take Tampa Bay in a pick'em at -118 for 50. And then the other thing that has gone way down right now, Sunday Night Football, Giants Cowboys is all the way to over/under 39 points. I don't think that's going to be a lot of points, but 39 is real low. So I'm going to take over 39, and I'll put 100 on that in Cowboys Giants at -110.
What are the odds? -110. Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Arif Hasan.
You should also note, Luke, that Donovan Smith did not practice. Chris Godwin did not practice. Brashad Perriman was a limited participant. Julio did not practice. There's a lot of reasons these odds moved.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I was going to say 5 points for something to drop 5 points.
And Tom Brady's not been playing all that well. Anyway, I didn't want to interfere with Luke's bad bet, so I waited until after he had locked it in. So I've got over-unders now. And there's a bunch that I like, but nothing invigorates me more than being a hater. So I'll take the under on Las Vegas at Tennessee, 45.5 at -108. And I'll put $150 on that. I am hating on both Derek Carr and Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, he who got benched. Derek Carr, who can't seem to figure out what the offense is without John Gruden whispering into his ear to throw it deep. So despite the fact that both teams have remarkable players across their skill position units, they cannot seem to coordinate an offense out of their own way. And I just love that about them. So hopefully we see a 6-3 game and we spark up a new round of narratives.
Just a really fun bet there, Arif. All right, Luke Inman.
All right. Well, the only one I really liked was the Bills -6. Miami coming off that huge high emotional win. Usually you come back, you're a little deflated. I'm going to go back to that Raiders-Titans game. Both teams 0-2. I look at both head coaches here. I lean Mike Vrabel over Josh McDaniels. I don't think the Titans go 0-3 at home. They're getting 2.5 points. Raiders may be one of the worst offensive lines in the entire league. I'll take the 2.5 points as home dogs, for the Titans. And I said last week, even though I'm not super confident in this one, I said last week I wasn't going to switch up the value of my bets. So I'm going to go $200 on the Titans plus 2.5. And that looks like it's at plus 108. No, I'm sorry.
Plus
it's at -110. -110.
How do you confuse those two?
Got it.
BetOnline.net.
He was trying to get a little juice. All right, last one. It's me. I am gonna go Chiefs, Colts over, because I think the Chiefs are really good at scoring points, and the Colts are going to have a bounce back at home for scoring points. So over 50.5 Chiefs and Colts -110. And that is
That's a tough one. I think the Chiefs are very good at scoring points. That part I agree with.
Thank you. Oh, I need to do a dollar amount. $103. Let's get some odd totals in there. So before we sign off, I would love to get one statistical prediction and one final score prediction for Sunday's game. So let's go around the horn. Inman.
I think there's a lot of points scored in this one. Like I said, I think the Vikings don't cover that 6-point spread, but they win this one by 34-31. I think Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne bounce back in a big way. They combine for over 10 double-digit catches combined and 150 yards, over 150 yards.
It's interesting. I was choosing a very similar statistical. It's a man coverage team. They do like to blitz. They've blitzed a lot in both games. I think the Vikings will just be better against the blitz than they were against the Eagles. I think they'll figure that out. So Justin Jefferson over 150 yards. So that's why I was very interested in Luke's bet. So I don't know, maybe it's 300 yards. Who knows? 150 yards for Justin Jefferson is my statistical prediction. As my numerical prediction, I think the Vikings both hit the over and beat the spread 35-28. It'll be a confusing game for setting the narratives.
So just did crossover Thursday with Matt Derry, who's on the show last time. We did our score predictions. I kind of said, I'm with Luke. I don't think they cover, but I do think they win. And that all implies I'm going 27-26. I think it's going to be a close game. I also agree with Arif. I think it's going to be they'll be better against the blitz. Kirk Cousins just fell apart against the blitz. They'll be able to go back to the drawing board and fix that. I don't think that's a sustained issue. And if it is, yikes.
Boy.
But I do think that there's going to be a lot of blitz countering going on, which I think leads to a lot of running back receptions. So I'm going to do something crazy. CJ Ham, third in targets.
Ooh.
He will be third on the team in targets as an outlet
Nice.
receiver, and also because of weirdness.
I like that hot
Sure,
take.
that's kind of a spicy one.
I think we're all just underestimating the bipolarity of Kirk Cousins. He's going to come in and have a perfect passer rating. It's going to come full circle. Goff did it to him in 18. Cousins is going to do it to Goff in 22. Perfect passer rating. Vikings win 36-12.
I love that you're like, you're all underestimating Kirk, and Luke and I are like, yeah, he's got 300 passing yards, and we all predicted like 30 points a game, and you're like, yeah, you all are really throwing Kirk under the bus here.
Luke went 34, Arif goes 35. I'm going 36. 36. little 2-point conversion action in there.
Perfect passer rating, 36 points. I think that pushes to a 40.
It's going to happen.
I don't know.
It's
going to happen. Game. The final segment of every show is our party fouls. Let's run the animation. Bruce Arians, man, you're not the coach anymore. Stay out of the fracas on the sideline. You don't need to yell at guys. You don't need to get in the mix. I know your juices are flowing. You wish you were coaching again, but you're not. So just don't.
So the last time I did a serious party foul, and everyone got really depressed. So I'm just going to talk about Nathaniel Hackett. Another party foul for Nathaniel Hackett. Now, they did end up winning, so that helps. But I think the Defector, their headline nailed it perfectly. The concept of time has Nathaniel Hackett in a headlock. That's true. Not only do the Broncos lead the league in delay of game penalties with 4, right? They have twice turned possible field goals into not possible field goals because of these delay of game penalties. One of them, a missed field goal. One of them, they just decided to punt it. I believe that one was at the end of or at the beginning of the third quarter. They also lead the league in all penalties, period, by actually quite a good margin. It's feeling very like 2015 Raiders. Figure your life out, man. Like, I know that the whole point of hiring Nathaniel Hackett was to lure Aaron Rodgers over in a trade, and that didn't work out, so you had to settle for Russell Wilson, I guess. But, like, your job is still, like, head coach. You cannot just be an offensive coordinator. And I can't believe I'm saying that after having just watched Mike Zimmer coach a team for 7 years, but he was much more of a head coach than Nathaniel Hackett is right now. This is ridiculous. You have a bevy of riches to work with. Be a head coach.
Be better. Just be better in general, will you?
Be better. Come on. Stop talking about Star Wars. Please. Be a head coach.
I'm going to go with Ime Udoka getting suspended for like maybe a year or two.
Ooh.
For
who's
having
the party
an affair
foul on?
with
Is it on Udoka or on the suspension?
It's a good question.
The guy who cheated on Neil Long, buddy.
That's personal, man.
What are you doing?
I'm not gonna...
He pulled a Gerson Rosas.
I'm personal, but it also
worried
got
about
him
the workplace
suspended for a whole year.
of that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Relationships,
True.
just figure that
Yeah,
out. That's
but-
fine. I mean,
oof.
I'll make fun of Aaron Rodgers' relationships, so I'm clearly working on a double standard here. But
That's fair. But
He
Aaron
makes
Rodgers
it
gets
so
double standards.
easy.
Yes.
yeah,
The
he
rules
makes
are
it
different
easy.
for
Come
Aaron
on, dude.
Rodgers.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But
No shit.
but
Yeah.
maybe Neil Long is into that. I don't know, man.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's the case. But then, then you get the workplace power.
But the
dynamic,
workplace dynamic
so-
stuff is
oops.
much more concerning to me.
Do we have any more
All
party
right.
fouls out there? Luke?
we got
What's
Luke.
that? Yeah,
Yeah.
one more here, wrap up. Has there been any bigger fall from a wide receiver over the past 2 years than what we've seen from Kenny Golladay? People argued this guy was like a top 10 or 12 wide receiver when he became a free agent. He leaves Detroit, signs the big contract with New York as the big prized free agent, 4 years, 72 mil. Dude's getting paid 18 mil this season. Sunday he played 2 snaps, not 2 catches, 2 snaps. Day one, the whole thing's just been an absolute dumpster fire. He's now being benched for something called David Sills. Not great. Party foul
David
for
Sills?
any fantasy. Yeah, well, obviously, West Virginia stud. Yeah. But, just for
Quarterback
this
David
take
Sills.
here, come on. Party foul for any fantasy owners out there who took Kenny Golladay. You can go ahead and just drop him right now. Cut your losses and just move on.
David Sills famously recruited by colleges at the age of 13. I believe it was 13.
Jesus.
To play quarterback. And then, some injuries. Had to convert to receiver. Pretty good receiver.
Yeah, all in all,
Dang.
not bad.
Worked out for him. So that was a show with shenanigans unmatched. Good job, gentlemen. Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman, Superior Sports Talk with Reggie Wilson of Care 11. Luke Braun, Locked on Vikings postcast, at Luke Braun NFL. Arif Hasan, Pro Football Network. It's free to read, at Arif Hasan NFL. And I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Get in our mentions on Twitter and comment on the YouTube video. Let us know what you think. What's your party foul for the week? Are the Vikings going to beat the Lions? Leave a comment and like the video on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Signing off until Monday, where we react to the Vikings' 36-12 win against the Lions. Until then, so long.